Hi, I'm Peter and welcome back to the History and Saber Suite, the channel where I talk about HEMA, history and swords. Now today I'm coming at you with another first look or review video, and this time it's of the Feather Smallswords Smallsword. Now before we get into the video, let me just say that this is a pre-production model or prototype as the company called it, so it doesn't directly correspond to any of the production models that they're now currently offering on their website. There are 4 different models that are listed on the website now, and this is one of the pre-production batch that we ordered 7 or 8 different ones of my club and other branches of my club, so we got them for a little discount. And other than that, I'm confident that the actual user experience will be fairly similar, because I can tell you right off the bat that this is a great small sword. So if that's what you came here to learn, I said it, it's great, you can stop watching now. Now, just kidding. Of course, I'm gonna run through all the specs and dimensions and tell you what I think about it. So let's begin from bottom to top and see what it's all about. Before we do that though, here is the thing in its entirety. It's a typical French style small sword, popular throughout the 18th century, give or take, and it's nicely made, it looks great, and let's begin with the rear. So what we have here is a cast pommel, I would imagine, with a tang nut, which is, the blade is secured via this nut at the pommel. We also have a wooden grip, which is, oval, almost round, but more like oval in cross section. Then we have a nice knucklebow, really nicely shaped, as you can see, also based on, historical small sword designs, as is the entire hilt assembly, basically. We've got very nicely proportioned rings here, and, the ricasso here is also very smooth and very accommodating to the thumb. And of course, the quillen is also nicely shaped, so the entire hilt assembly very much looks like a historical small sword, or based on historical small swords, which is probably what the company set out to do, and which they have done wonderfully, in my view. So the highlights of the hilt assembly, in my opinion, is the guard, the clamshell guard, which, as you can see, hopefully, has these, decorations, these perforations, which are also based on many historical small swords, very nice looking, very attractive in my eyes. And, this gives the whole hilt assembly a very nice, historically accurate look and feel to it. Now, when I actually hold it, as you can see, the pinch grip that, small swords are commonly held with or held in works wonderfully. The ricasso is smooth, as I've said, as that's where you place the thumb. And also the rings are proportioned very nicely, so the pinch grip just works great. Now, a personal note, I have fairly small hands and I'm quite short, so it's always a plus for me if, weapons are not overly big or long, the grips are not too long for my hands, which commonly happens with sabers. Then, of course, it needs to be bigger because you need heavier gloves and so on and so forth. But, as you don't need heavy, bulky gloves while small sword fencing, it can be of a more realistic proportion, dimension, which really, fits my hands perfectly. And, I'm really glad that my hands are, well-fitting into this hilt. Really great. So, talking about the guard, let me tell you, it is 7 centimeters in diameter, so from here to here. And it's one of the smaller ones out of the ones that we ordered. I believe that the 7 centimeter option is still available in one of their current production models. I think it's a great size, not too large, not too small. I kind of like it. And also the rings just, fit the size of the guard very well. Now, talking about the blade, a quick aside, I would like to compare the sword with the Lee and Paul Smallsword trainer that we have here. The Lee and Paul Smallsword trainer is a common way, easy way to get into smallsword fencing. You know, it's a mashup basically of different modern Olympic fencing parts. The grip is rather long, has this dish as a guard, and of course it features the classic épée blade in size 2, which means it's 80 centimeters in length. Now, of course, it has the triangular hollow ground cross section because it actually derived from historical small swords. It's very flexible, requires very little force to bend it. And, you know, it's a common way to get into small sword fencing. Nice simulator, but, you know, nothing wrong with it. But the Feather Smallsword also comes with sport fencing blades, but as an option, you can order it, as we've done, with the HF Armory Musketeer blade. And as you can see, it looks quite different already, just in comparison the épée blade. So the first difference that we're seeing is that the ricasso is solid and not hollow ground, as we can see here. And it's also wider. So the entire blade has more aggressive profile taper, which gives it more mass in the, in the foot, near the hand. And it's also overall a little heavier, the HF Musketeer blade. And the weight difference between the Lee and Paul trainer and this small sword is around about 70 or 80 grams. So this is 420 grams, pretty much spot on, while the Lee and Paul small sword trainer is just under 360 grams. So there is a difference in the hand, but honestly, I must say, while this is a great trainer, nothing wrong with it, there's no comparison really. The Feather small sword is, nimbler. It has more mass near the hand, even if it's just a tiny bit, and it feels, better balanced and just more rounded than this. Also, I'm really not a fan of the grip on the Lee and Paul trainer, whereas this is more like a real small sword. Now, because they've put on a tip here, I can't actually tell how long the blade is underneath, but it measures around 82 centimeters from the clamshell guard to the tip. So it could be, a size 2 or a size 3, I'm not sure. Now, talking about the company itself, Feather Smallswords is a small company based out of Serbia. They're kind of new on the block, but they're gaining traction and popularity from what I've seen. And the prices of their small swords are really quite good, I'd say. The Lee and Paul comes in at around, I think it was 80 or 90 euros, just under 100 euros when we ordered them, just before the pandemic hit, so 18 months ago. And this one here comes in at 120 euros for the hilt alone. And with the blade, it's about 140, 150, something like that. The HF Musketeer blade will cost you a little bit more compared to the standard épée sport fencing blade, which they also offer. But I think it's an upgrade well worth the money. Now, in conclusion, what do I say? I think it's really great. Unfortunately, I haven't had the pleasure to use it in sparring, although I have used it on multiple occasions now for solo training. I also took it to the gym where we normally train with the club. So I've handled and used it for about a month now before I made this video, and I really think it's great. If you want to get into small sword more seriously, like we want to do now at the club and the other branches of our club, this is a great option. It's relatively affordable, not as affordable as some of the sport fencing mashups as the Lee and Paul, but still in an affordable range. I really like the design. It feels great, it's smooth, it handles well, and it's just, it's not as bendy as the sport fencing blade, but still safe enough. And I think this will make for a great small sword. Now, durability wise, of course, I can't really speak to the durability because I haven't really used it against other swords as of now. But I'm confident it will not get, destroyed against other small swords. But of course, I'm also going to use it against, something like sabers or spadroons or bayonets when I get the chance. So that's when things will get a bit more interesting. But of course, I'm still going to be a bit careful, and I'll get back to you with a long-term review once I've used it against those kinds of weapons over a long period of time. So maybe 1 or 2 years, I'll talk about it again, hopefully. And also, I'm hoping I can get some, fencing, training, sparring footage of me or other, club mates using these small swords sometime in the future. And if you're interested, please like and subscribe so you're not missing out on that future content. And also, thank you so much for watching. Please follow me on Instagram and see you in the next one. Thank you. Bye-bye.